is dying due to the incapabilities
Yeah.
of.
A lot of this is to go ahead and get the message spread because of the fact that life is a life. The American Science Association identifies life begins at the moment of conception, where the sperm meets the egg. So that, and by the way, that is all scientific fact. Not only that, but the National Institution of Health identifies life beginning at the moment of conception.
I don't disagree with that.
So therefore, if
Yes.
if we identify when life begins, when is it okay to murder life?
Well, I don't consider it murder. My opinion is that abortion isn't murder.
Okay.
It's the fetus committing suicide
Okay.
because you are not obligated to keep something else alive,
Okay.
even if it's inside of you.
Wow. That's pretty dark.
I know.
Continue. Please continue.
Because my theory is if you can take the fetus out without killing it
Okay.
of the woman and leaving it there, a human wouldn't die living out there.
Okay.
It would try to survive.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about that?
Sure.
So you've made a brass statement about
Yes.
abortion is not murder because it's the fetus committing suicide.
Yes.
How does one commit suicide as an adult?
Stop living.
Stop living. Okay. So what is the act? Like, how do you commit suicide? That's the real question. Because here's the thing: to commit suicide is for you to have an intentional act to stop living on your own. That's what suicide is. To die, death,
Not
natural.
necessarily.
Okay. So
People fall off things all the time and it's suicide.
may I? Can you go ahead and look up the definition of suicide for me, please? We'll go ahead and get the Merriam-Webster definition of suicide. All right, but I'm pretty sure I'm almost accurate. Where it's the individual self-determination to want to die, not it is not being forced upon
I
by
think
another
that's the
entity.
act of suicide.
Okay, so what's the Merriam-Webster of suicide, please? All right, so suicide definition is all right. So the act or an instance of ending one's own life voluntarily or intentionally. That is what suicide is defined by the Merriam-Webster. Now you can agree that Merriam-Webster is a source of dictionary that we could all establish, right? So therefore, how is a fetus committing suicide? Please tell me, how is the fetus committing suicide?
Wait, I'm trying to find a different word then.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
I mean, because you can easily say abortion. What is what is the actual definition of abortion?
Is the legal definition?
Yeah. The legal definition of suicide is the intention killing of oneself. That is the legal definition. But here's the thing: when you go ahead and get the word abortion, what does medically the word abortion means? The medical word for abortion
Well,
is
I'm not
the.
talking about abortion.
Well, no, I'm just giving you the medical
Yes.
definition. The medical term of abortion is to prevent the life of a baby. That's it. In other words, a miscarriage is technically defined as an abortion. It is because it's medically defined as it.
Yes.
Do I disagree with it? I probably a little bit do, but only for moral reasons. But logically, I follow that logical facts. So for you to say that a fetus is committing suicide, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's false, just because of the simple definition. So that's my first question.
How are you?
My second question
Good.
would.
Like dictionary term of abortion.
No, the dictionary term of abortion.
Yeah.
Can you Merriam-Webster abortion, please? Yep, abortion.
Huh?
So the Merriam-Webster abortion is the termination of a pregnancy after accompanied by, resulting in, or closely followed by the death of an embryo or fetus.
Yes.
So in other words, like I said,
It's not murder. It doesn't use the word murder.
You're right. Like I said, in other words, a miscarriage can and is labeled as an abortion. It is in the
Yes.
medical definition. It is. I'm not denying that.
But my opinion is it's the women's right
Okay.
because her body excretes it and it's not able to survive outside of her body.
Okay.
And it's also the woman's right to take it out. And if it can't survive on its own and it dies, it is a self-death.
Okay. So then I have a few other questions.
Yes. Self-death is probably the right term.
Self-death would probably the best definition on
Yes.
your perspective,
Yes.
but it's and I'm gonna just ask you a few questions
Yes.
about it. So when you say that it's the woman's when you say it's the woman's body is her choice, would you like to? So I'm agreeing with you with the fact that if it's not your DNA, it should not be your opposition.
I disagree. Cancer is your DNA, and it is your opposition.
As in, it is your opposition to go ahead and seek treatment or not.
What? Well, as a person
Right,
with cancer, you don't need to seek treatment. You can.
Absolutely. So therefore,
it's up to you.
So my question. So I'm agreeing with you. If it's
Yes.
not your DNA, it is not your responsibility, right? Or it's not.
Technically, you do share
like-
DNA with the fetus.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't. You want to know why? Because of the fact that there is two distinctive genetic DNA.
Sorry, genes.
You share genes, but you share genes with your mother. You share genes with your grandfather. You share genes with your great grandfather.
Yes.
Genes and DNA, two separate things. I'm letting you know right now. Your
I
DNA.
agree that it's two separate things.
Okay.
But I also agree that I do have the right to pull the plug on my grandpa.
Okay, we'll come about that in a different moment.
Yes.
Let me follow up. with
Yes,
this.
okay.
If it's not your DNA, then you should not get a choice to utilize whatever you to do with your DNA, right?
Well, what I'm doing is I'm extracting it from my body. Viruses are cells that are in my body, so I'm extracting the cells that are in my body.
So I'm just trying to meet middle way with you right now.
Yes.
All right. If it's not your DNA, then you have no right to do anything with that
disagree with
DNA.
that.
You disagree with it. Why?
Yes.
Why?
Why? Because it's in my body.
It's in your body.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's
so,
not in my body. But yeah.
Okay.
You know,
No, I get it. You pretend if you're.
Yes.
Yeah. So, can you do me a favor? If you're gonna talk, please go over there.
Because you do have the right to remove viruses from your body.
Yeah. So now we're coming there. We're coming there. Give me a second.
Yes.
If it's not your DNA, you should have no say of what happens to that DNA. So in other words, the woman has a separate DNA from that fetus. Secondly, a fetus, what is the definition of fetus? Do you know?
I necessarily don't care in this argument.
Oh, it's fine. I'll explain to you.
Yes.
The Latin root of fetus is offspring. All right. So the definition of fetus itself is little people. All right. So by utilizing dehumanization names such as fetus, embryo, whatever, all right, you are trying to go ahead and make it subconsciously okay for you to, remove that person, because what it is an actual person. It is a living human being.
Yes, and that's why it should be able to survive by itself
Per-
outside of.
Perfect. So when you are 1 year old, were you able to survive on your own with no intermission whatsoever from your parents?
Well, I know tons of people who are 1 year old who end up not being taken care of by their parents and they get taken away.
Okay.
So it's not a guaranteed thing.
No, but the question is, are you able to survive on your own? Because you said viable, you said just survive on
Yes.
your own, whatever.
Technically, yes.
So are you able to survive on your own without any intervention from your parents, from a family member?
Technically, yes.
Technically, no. Because I'm gonna tell you
Yes.
right now, they still need some kind of sustenance in
Yes.
order to survive.
And
They
technically,
they
you
still
can
need
find-
finances, they still need food, they still need some kind of care. And without this care, this life would not be able to live long.
I agree that it probably wouldn't live long, but there is definitely, it's a small chance, but there is definitely a chance that it would be taken care of.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, there's also a small chance for a premature baby from at the age of, let's say, 25, which is at that borderline between first trimester and second trimester. That individual baby, if you send him to the NICU, he'll be perfectly fine.
Okay, then just get it out of the woman.
Yeah, I agree with you, because instead of having abortions, we should have cesarean sections. And
Well, my opinion is, however the woman wants to remove it, it is her choice because that's cutting into her body.
okay, so then we move on to the what is deemably acceptable as a choice or not. Is it acceptable to say that you can murder anybody you feel like?
Well, is it acceptable to say you can pull the plug on anybody you feel like?
I don't think so.
If it's a family member,
I don't think so. That's not for your choice to make.
if it's a family member, you don't think you can pull the plug?
That's not for your choice to make. That's for being higher than ourselves, than our own cognitive power to go ahead and make that choice.
Yes, but in America.
And, yeah,
In America, is it your choice to make?
Like I said, it is not an acceptable choice just to randomly pull the plug on
I
anybody.
know it's not an acceptable choice, but is it a choice that any doctor could make?
It is not an acceptable choice.
Yes, but is it a choice?
But no, here's where you're trying to get at, is it a choice for people to have abortions? They have choices. They have a lot of choices. They have different
Yes.
free will choices. That does not make it acceptable. That's what I'm trying to refer back to. Is it a choice? People make choices all the time.
Yes.
That doesn't make the choice acceptable. That makes the choice unacceptable. If you were to choose murder over life, that is unacceptable. And for me to define as what murder is the evil intentions or the forethought to end a life.
Can you look at the definition of murder?
Please look up the definition of murder. So it is the intentions, the malicious intentions to end a life. That is the definition of murder. So, what is it? Murder? The crime is unlawfully and unjustifiable killing a person. Such a crime committed under look for the legal term, please, because I'm identifying the legal term. That's
Well,
what.
I'm saying, like, in general, if someone breaks into my house
Okay.
and I kill them, that is technically murder.
Why is it murder?
It's murder because I killed him in self-defense.
Okay. So do you understand the difference between murder and manslaughter?
Vaguely.
Vaguely? All right, perfect. So murder is the evil mental forethoughts of unjustifiably killing another person. Manslaughter is by killing a person by accident or by killing a person without intentions. That is manslaughter. My father was convicted of manslaughter because he accidentally hit a woman with his car. He did not mean to intentionally kill that person. That woman came out of the sidewalk, looked for a bus, she got hit by a car.
Yes.
That is manslaughter. Murder, the definition. Murder is the unlawful killing of a human being with malice.
Yes, and I'm saying that
Okay.
pulling a fetus out is not murder.
So do you want to know why I think it is?
Well, yes.
Okay, so the reason why I'm thinking that abortion, as in pulling the fetus, the baby, the embryo out of the woman is murder, is because you already had the forethought to do evil. You already had the forethought to end somebody's life. So therefore, forethought, by the way, is thinking. You already had the plot, the thought process, the plan.
I think the plan is to get it out of the body, not
The,
to kill it.
the plan is to go ahead and remove it and kill it. That is the plan of an abortion, because we already talked about what abortion is. An abortion is to end the life of a pregnancy, and that's what the term is of abortion.
But is ending of the life just a sub-factor?
No, the ending of the, like I said, the medical term for abortion is the ending of the life of a pregnancy from that fetus, right? So, and then when we have murder, it is the evil intentions or malice of ending a life.
I do agree with the murder term, but the abortion term I disagree with.
It's still a crime.
Well, with
Even if you, according to your definition, the mother is not maliciously killing the children, it's still a crime, like without malice. It's just not right. Because
Well-
manslaughter is still a
Well,
crime.
because manslaughter. So, but the reason why it's considered murder is because you had the forethought, the plan to end a life. Because when you ask for abortion, you're asking to end a life. That's the definition of an abortion: is to end the life.
Well, it's not to end the life. If it is even a chemical abortion, the woman's body cells can survive the chemicals.
So no,
But it doesn't mean
I
that-
said end a life, as in the fetus. The fetus is a life.
Yes, but then again, the woman is putting the chemicals in there. The
Okay.
fetus is dying due to the incapabilities
Yeah.
of having
Not
the chemicals.
not suicide, because it was a force
So
upon
therefore,
chemical.
it is misadventure.
It was a force upon murder because the person took chemicals in order to have an abortion, in order to end the life of a baby, in order to commit murder.
I disagree. I think it's misadventure.
If you follow the train of thought, what is murder? Murder is a malicious intent to end somebody's life.
Yes.
What is an abortion? The abortion is to go ahead and end a life, or the termination of a pregnancy is what the technical definition
Yes.
of an abortion is. And then when you're
What if-
trying to go ahead and take a pill, knowing that it will end the baby's life, that is, in other words, having the plan of mental forethought to kill that baby.
But it doesn't always end the baby's life. Therefore, you don't plan on murdering the baby.
No, it always does end the baby's life. What are you
No.
talking about? Oh, you're right. There's a lot of abortions. Luckily, that the baby was saved, but however, is dismembered. There are many different abortions that were unsuccessful. But then, as well, there's also that state. I think it's Maine that allowed abortions to occur after pregnancy. and just as soon as the aborted baby who survived abortion is there, you just leave it on the table and then just die. So you watch the life of that baby crying and whining lose its life.
Well, my thing is, there's so many parents that do that already. Just leave their child and disappear off of the face of the earth.
Okay, I'm not saying that that's right. My father left me
Yes.
when I was 3 years old.
Yes,
and
I'm
here I am now.
I'm agreeing that that isn't right,
Okay,
but it happens,
okay, it does happen.
and therefore, it's also the right of the parents to do that.
So here's the thing: it is not the right of the parent to go ahead and enact violence against their child. That is why we, as a society, go ahead and stand up to these evil.
Yes, but
So-
it's also the right of the parents to be like.
Do you think it's everybody's right to have a child and raise their child?
I think it's everyone's right to adopt a child.
I mean, I agree, but here's the unfortunate part, is that not everybody should
I
adopt
disagree.
children. So you think pedophiles should adopt children?
I think that with the adoptions rates only being at 2%, right?
Yep.
We should have more adoptions
I
in the
agree.
United States. And number two, I think the adoptions should go for the same as background checks that they do go through now.
Yes, they do.
Yes, but I feel that if you are so if you're so anti-abortion, you should adopt a child.
I absolutely agree with you. And I've also participated in the foster care program where I've definitely fostered many children.
I grew up in the foster care.
So
program.
I understand that the foster program a lot of the times can be chaotic. I really do, because like I said, I contributed to helping with the foster program.
Yes.
All right. However, I disagree with the fact that anybody and everybody has the right to adopt, because I don't think pedophiles should go ahead and adopt children. I don't think people who committed murder should adopt children.
I think every capable adult
Okay.
that follows the standards to adopt a child should have a child.
I agree with you. I agree. I do. I agree with you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
But I do not agree with the fact that abortion is murder.
Okay. So then, what is abortion if it's not murder?
I feel that abortion is, if done properly, the taking out of of whatever you want to call it, life, whatever, and the mother leaving it, making they have the right to walk out of that room, and if the child is not taken care of, it is that child's misadventure or self-death that
So-
caused that, and it's not murder.
So my question, I guess, would be to you: is when do you consider life begins?
I consider life beginning at. I don't consider life beginning until you can take care of your normal bodily organs yourself.
I mean, you won't be able to take care of your normal bodily organs until you're 5.
You can take care of your normally bodily organs the second you leave the womb.
Incorrect. And the reason why I ask or say that is because, have you ever peed the bed?
What?
Have you ever peed the bed? Be honest. Have you ever urinated
Maybe,
on the
I
bed?
don't remember.
Exactly. So I have.
I
All right. Was I in control of my bodily functions at
Yes,
the
you
moment I
needed
was
to pee,
asleep?
so you peed.
No. I was not in control of my bodily emotions, so therefore I peed on myself.
Well, you just know now that it's not culturally appropriate
Of course,
to do so.
But at the age of where I
It
peed on
was.
myself was what, 5 years old, 6
So
years
it
old.
was culturally appropriate.
No, it was not culturally appropriate to pee on yourself at all.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes.
No, because
Dogs do it all
you-
the time. Animals do it all the time.
We're not animals.
It's
we're
only
humans.
humans are animals.
No, we're human species. As in, we're separate from canines. We're separate from felines. We're separate from lions.
We're mammals.
We are mammals. You're absolutely right.
We're separate, but we share the same genes.
We don't share the same genes. I'm gonna tell you right now, the genetic code separation between us and apes is very far. We are more closely related to fungus, and we are closely related to apes. So for you to go ahead and make that assertion is very false.
But we are related.
We're also related to fungus.
Yes, I agree.
So, but what I'm trying to say is that we are not.
So why can't I act
We're
like
not
a fungus?
canines. We are not felines. We are not animals. We are humans. We are born with cognitive reasoning.
part of the animal kingdom.
Hold on. We are born with cognitive reason to understand what is right, what is wrong.
Mhm.
All right. Going back to the topic of when do you perceive life begins is when you have autonomy of your bodily functions. There are people in comas who cannot control when they urinate or defecate. So should we
Yes.
pull the plug on them?
Well, it depends.
You see? So as soon as I start asking questions, all of this starts to fall down. All of these
No,
stuff
it
starts to
depends
fall
on the
apart.
person.
It should not. Murder should never be okay.
I agree that murder should not be okay,
Okay.
but if someone is taking care of you, they also deserve the right to walk away. That is my take.
Okay. So then I move forward to you brought life into the world. All right, not you per se, but like
Yes.
let's say a mother brought life into the world.
Yes.
And if she cannot care for this child,
Yes.
then to relinquish her custody in order to go ahead and allow someone else to take care of it. I agree. And that's why we have adoption programs. That's why we have foster care programs. Absolutely. I agree. I disagree with the allowing a 1 year old baby to die on the operating table because the mother decides she doesn't want to be a parent.
I disagree with it, but it is a right.
It is not a right.
Yes, it is.
And the reason why it is not a right is because you are committing murder as you are walking away from a responsibility that you had for this individual.
You think it's committing murder.
It is definitely committing murder because you're allowing it to die. You understand the level of care it needs, and you have the responsibility to take care of it, and yet you choose not to do so.
So allowing someone to die is therefore murder.
Allowing the responsibility that you had upon yourself to take care of an infant that you created is murder.
So if someone shoots my child in front of me and I don't defend him, it's murder.
Did you shoot your child?
No, if someone
Okay,
shoots
then
my child,
that person who shot your child is now going to go ahead and be filed as murder.
yes.
Not you.
But also, do I get murder for not defending him?
Like I said, did you shoot your child and kill your child? No. What happened was the person shot your child, so therefore he will be tried as murder.
Yes, but it's my child. It's my job to take care of him, and now they're dead.
Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and give you a very, very real case file. A parent went ahead and was charged with child abuse and child neglect,
Yes.
and also murder
Yes.
for not providing the needs
Yes.
for the child,
Yes.
and then that child eventually was eaten by pigs.
Mhm.
Do you recall this case?
I agree that it was morally wrong,
Morally wrong.
but it was the parents' right to do so.
No, it was not. Absolutely not. And I can't even agree with you with that because of the fact that this child is looking for guidance, is looking for help,
Yes.
and is seeking it from the parents, and the parents are neglecting it, abusing them, and allowing this child to die.
Yes.
And by the way, tortured.
Yes.
So you think that it is okay for anybody
I don't
to
think
commit
it's okay.
torture? You think it
I
is?
think it's a
it-
right.
You think it is their right to commit torture? You think it is their right to commit murder?
I think people have the right to do that. I don't think it's moral. Everyone, every human.
You think every human has the right to commit murder?
It's not moral, and they would be justified.
You think every human? I just want to hear this straight. Do you think every human has the right to commit murder?
I think every human has the right to draw up responsibilities that take care of another human.
I mean, we have opportunities, but that's not a right.
I think it is a right.
No, it's not. It's not, because here's the thing, and this is why we also have what is it?
I don't think humans have the right to commit murder. I think we do have the right to stop taking care of something. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
People have the right. They just walk away scotch-free and go do whatever they want.
So if that's the case, do you think men should stop paying child support?
Hmm?
Do you think men should stop paying child support since they decided to leave the family and
Well,
allow the woman to suffer?
I think they have the right to, but the law says that they have to pay. So they have the right to leave a what?
Well, I mean, they could do whatever they want as free
Yes.
will, right? Now, I'm not saying that they have the right. I said that they could do whatever they want. Big difference. They don't have the right to murder. They don't have the right to kill. They don't have the right to steal. They don't have the right to subject somebody's property for themselves. That's not a right. The right is that we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom to bear arms, freedom of social procedures. These are our constitutional rights given by God, obviously. But the right is that they don't have a right just to leave their kid, because if they had that right, then they wouldn't pay child support.
I would say that there is a law put in place that they do have to, but they don't have they have the right to step away from that.
Like I said, if they had the right to step away from a child, then why are they paying child support?
Because it's a law.
No, I'm just saying right there. That is not a right. They don't have a right to just abandon their family because they have the obligations. So therefore, they have to pay child support in order to take care of their responsibilities.
What's the difference between a right and a law?
A right and a law?
Yes.
Okay, a right is a God-given thing that is undefinable and is objectively true. A law is something that is in place by society for societal norms and societal responsibilities.
Do you have the right to walk away from something?
As in, like, do I have the right to walk wherever I want? No, I don't. I don't have the right to walk inside your house.
I mean, technically you do.
I don't.
But the law says against it.
No, I don't have the right to walk inside your house because that is your property.
Then what's squatters' rights?
That is a law deemed by society. I never said
also a right.
I never said society was true. I never said society is always factual. I said a right is different than a law. You even asked me what was the difference. One is given by God or a higher power, and the other one is created by
Then
society.
why is it called squatters' rights instead of squatters' laws?
Because of the fact that it just sounded easier and better.
I would disagree. I would say that rights are, in my opinion, also not given to us by God, but by the society we're in and the morals surrounding that society.
I mean, then that's a whole separate conversation about morals and where we get our rejected morals and blah blah blah.
Yes.
So where I'm trying to get at the nitty gritty of it is
Yes.
that we don't have a right to abandon our family. We don't have a right to be murdered. We don't have a
People do.
and here's the unfortunate part is that when we do decide to abandon our family, when we do decide to murder, there are consequences to our actions, as there should be.
We don't have the right to murder, but we do have the right to abandon our family.
There are consequences to our actions.
Yes.
When we do so.
There
As
are
in we
consequences, but we
pay
do have the
child
right.
support. We go ahead and go to jail for murder. We go to jail for theft. We go ahead and get disowned by our family when we decide to steal from them.
Yes. But we both agree that we do have the right to step away from it.
I do not have the right to enter into your property, and they don't have the
I'm
right.
talking about
They don't
leaving
have.
families.
They don't have the right to leave their family, because if they had the right, then they should not pay child support, and I think that they should definitely be a part of their family's life, because that is the best thing for the individual baby.
Well, they do have the right not to pay. Like,
No, they don't, because then they'll get subjected by fines.
yes, but you said there's a difference between right and laws.
Yeah, I did.
Yes, so they're subjected to fines because of laws, not
Yeah.
because of the right.
Okay.
So the right doesn't make them pay anything. It's the laws that make them pay.
Yeah, you're right. However,
Yes.
the right is the morals between what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and you don't have the right to just impregnate anybody you want and leave. Just like how you don't have the right to murder your child that's inside your womb.
I agree that you do have the right to impregnate whoever you want, but I disagree with the right that you have to murder someone.
And I disagree with that. And the reason why is because by you impregnating anybody and everybody that you choose to, then you're not claiming A, responsibility, B, you're not going ahead and developing a good social skill and network for that individual baby, and C, what costs and benefits are you gonna go ahead and get from all of that.
I think we're just going to disagree on this topic.
I agree with that. So thank you so
Yes.
much for your time,
Thank you for
and
your
I hope
time.
you have a nice day.
Yes, you too.